Thanks for tuning in to the Loser Kid Pinball Podcast. We're on episode 124. I am your host, Josh Roop, my co-captain, as always.
Scott Larson.
And Scott, we've got some interesting information. I don't know. We got some interesting stuff we're going to talk about. Before we jump into that, though, it is getting that time of the season. It's too quiet. It's, the sharks coming through the water, maybe. You hear the da-da, 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 da-da.
Maybe.
Because I think another pinball release or two, or maybe even three, might be on the horizon in the next couple months. I mean, we've got Spooky sending stuff out to content creators. We have rumors floating about. We'll talk about later. If you want to get on these rumored lists, hit up Zach and Nicole Mini at Flipping Out Pinball. They are amazing. Their customer service is great. They are a company that goes the extra mile for you. Zach does it all for me, and I really appreciate what he does.
I actually have a personal plug. I actually had someone who went to residency with me who reached out and asked me if I knew anything about Jurassic Park. So I had a discussion with him, and I was like, "Yeah, it's a great game, and if you're looking for a game, it is one of those games that the Pro and the Premium would really work." So he said, "Hey, where do you get it?" And legitimately, I just sent them a group message with Zach and Nicole and my friend. And of course, he took the deep dive and went into pinball. And now they got him a Godzilla Premium that he's getting, his first machine. And so they really were very, very accommodating to work with. They didn't immediately have a game, but they said they'd put them on the list of first refusal, and they were able to get that for him. So it was really nice to see that personal touch.
That's awesome, man. I'm excited. That's another person in the hobby.
Yep.
Into the industry. So if you want to buy, hit up Zach and Nicole Mini at Flipping Out Pinball. All their stuff is usually updated through their Facebook page. Go there and see what's on the list. They're always updating. So let's dive into it. So I'm going to give a fair warning before we get into this. I know the first couple points aren't really on our notes, aren't hopefully they're not controversial because they're the last couple episodes we've done, right?
Sure.
But we are going to give some thoughts on some of the current stuff coming up. If you're not much of a drama person, we're going to give our takes without trying to be dramatic. I don't know.
I don't think I can hold to that today, Josh.
Well, fair warning.
Fair warning. Scott is ticked. Okay.
So like deep root level ticked. So what was that? Episode 80 when we had Zach and Dennis on?
Yeah.
Good cramming. Yeah. Only took another 40 episodes. All right. Before we get into that stuff though, Jack Guarneri interview reactions. A lot of people loved it. A lot of people thought kind of business as usual. Jack was
he stuck to talking points. I mean, really, he stuck to very market friendly phrases. We tried to push him on a few topics that he could say something about if he chose to. He really chose to defer, which is fine. It's his prerogative.
Yeah.
But it seemed like he was sticking to his typical talking points, which is great. It's typical Jack.
Yep. And I thought overall it was good. There was some information there. A lot of people have gleaned some stuff from it. I appreciate the coverage from Nap and This Week in Pinball. It's really awesome that they pick up, those interviews and run with it. Our next episode, the TWIPY episode, I want to preface this because it's probably where some of the stuff's going to start coming in.
Yeah.
Will Odding, a lot of people say Odding. It's Odding, like an otter. We had this discussion. I'm sorry. I have to. So Will asks to come on our show, which is totally fine. It doesn't bother me one bit that he comes on the show and we talk about the TWIPYs because it's that time of year and the awards.
It was a nice way to introduce it, by the way. Just saying, hey, it's the season. These are some things, and we really do try not to take sides.
Yeah, exactly. And so Will reached out with Lucas and Emoto, and we wanted to get this all together. It was a great opportunity to talk about some of the changes going on in TWIPY, and really, I felt like overall it was a great episode, right? Like Lucas is a great dude, and Emoto, she works so hard behind the curtain, so to speak, and she puts a lot into blood, sweat, and tears into this. The interesting part, though, is the reaction we got to the episode. First of all, we're not really associated with This Week in Pinball. Like, I know that we've had.
Yeah, we're not on the committee.
We're not on the committee. We don't own any stock in the website. Like, I don't know, like, I don't know why we received emails upset that, like, we didn't ask why, like, there was a positivity change, and why we didn't give certain coverage to certain people, like, they felt like they were neglected, and I'm sorry, like, we were here to interview Will and what they are doing, what they think is best for the TWIPY Awards. And in the last 2 weeks, it's funny, I feel like we haven't had any drama for 2023, right? Like,
So far, it's been pretty nice. Like,
it's pretty smooth sailing, but it happens every year, right? Like,
mhm.
every year TWIPYs get announced. We had Will on last year because he has to come on, which is totally fine, but it seems like there's always drama, always. And I I'm frustrated. Like, I don't know why you're barking at my door to tell you guys what should or shouldn't be done or who I should represent. I just sorry. Like, that's what we're here for is a platform to give a voice to the people we enjoy listening to, I guess. But like, if you like the Twippies, cool, whatever. If not, you don't have to tune into it. That's my personal opinion. But there's been a lot of drama, and I just kind of want to address it. I don't know if I want to address it first or if Scott wants to address it first.
Okay, my turn. Okay. The whole point of having an award show legitimately should be a celebration of the hobby. Okay.
Yeah.
It should be
Yep.
a way of bringing people into the hobby to celebrate the accomplishments, by the way, of the manufacturers and
Yes.
say these are the best products that are out there. I don't see Car and Driver magazine saying, hey, these are the best autos out there. But by the way, this is the best person who talks about those. Okay. And the bottom line is, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And I'm sick of one person in particular. And I'm sorry that I cannot hold back. If you feel like your number one priority in life is to get a sticker on winning a podcast for pinball, we are such a small industry. You know what? Go for it, dude. You cross a line when you start threatening people, you start threatening to send your minions on them and to dox them and to put things out there. You have crossed a serious line, my friend. And I don't care if you walk things back and you continually do this. And I'm tired of you trying to pick fights and then walking away and saying, oh, no, we're all cool. Okay, you're a bully and you're a coward because you're doing it online. Okay. And so the bottom line is, if that's what you want to celebrate as a TWIPY voter, then go ahead. I have zero interest in that level of toxicity in the hobby. It's not about content creators. It's not about the best streamer out there. It's like I am actually calling for that to be completely eliminated from the TWIPY, because every year that becomes the focus. It should be the best game of the year. It should be the best designer of the year. It should be the best company of the year.
Yeah.
Not some troll who gets off on trying to stir up toxicity in the hobby and to call for people's jobs. And I'm sorry, if you're supporting this, you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're seeing someone who is in a fight on the street and you want to go and just look at that as opposed to try to diffuse the situation, you're part of the problem. And so I'm calling on people to wake up, try to eliminate the toxicity in the hobby, because that is not what it should be about. If that's what it is about, then my friend, do not come over to my house. Do not talk to me and pretend like you're my friend and then immediately like trash people in the background. There is no need for that.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is, you need to grow up, because this is not junior high. Okay. These are people's lives. These are people's hobbies. These are people's fans. And you know what? If that's all you want to do in your life is to pick fights and to cause angry people, an angry rant is what I'm giving right now because of your antics.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to specify you personally. You know who you are. And I'm not even going to call out all the numerous antics that you have done to many people personally,
Including us.
including us. And
Yep.
so, you know what? Just crawl back under the hole that you came out of and just stay away, because It is not helping people. You're a succubus on people's souls. Okay? Rant
Tell us how
done.
you really feel, Scott.
Rant done. You know what? Get some therapy. That's what I want you to do. I want you to get some therapy and get over your narcissistic delusions.
I
Okay?
agree. And you know what? It's really sad. I think the thing that upsets me the most about all this, it's not the drama's every year, so I guess I've become desensitized to it, which is kind of depressing, right? Like that's
Yeah.
really sad. But I think the thing that upsets me most is the false narrative because we had Will on, we had Emoto on. They clarified no one's getting like ejected from the TWIPYs. There's no positivity clause. They were very forthcoming that saying like it's going to be the same old that it has been for years, right?
Yeah.
Like, and there's been this like narrative created over the last 2 weeks that if you're not involved in the database of This Week in Pinball, which now doesn't exist anymore, has
Yeah.
been taken down. All the content creators are now punished because of one
Hey,
person.
well done. You're so toxic that they just decided to shut everything down. Good for
Yeah.
you. You know, I hope you get a big old gold star on your butt.
But my point being is like there's this false narrative going around and it doesn't help anyone.
No.
And really it only creates more of a toxic and negative environment.
Yeah.
Like it makes no sense because all this was clarified 2 weeks ago. Like
Yeah.
it's all false narrative.
Yeah. If you
I
want to
don't.
be if you want to be mean, then that's the baseline of your personality. Okay?
Yeah, and
Again,
you're only serving yourself at that point.
get therapy.
Yes. So like I agree with Scott. We've talked to Will actually about this. We've talked to a handful of people behind the scenes. We're really pushing
Yeah,
for media
I
media
think the media
altogether.
should be gone because
It should be.
it just it's negative. It detracts from what the whole purpose of it.
And it's not just been this year. I mean, I know that we're talking
Every
about
every
every year.
year.
We talk about this. I don't Let me give you some behind the scenes. It's not because, we're all losers, right? Like there's only one winner, right? It's the fact that it creates so much drama, so much negativity and toxicity around the what has got to be the best year or best part of the year, in my opinion. Like
Mhm.
this is when I go out and I give more, I help more. Like I'm already helping and stuff during the year, but like I'm actively that's like on my mind of like things are slowing down in work and like you're spending more time with family
Mhm.
and it should be all positivity and good vibes, right? And it isn't. And you and we dealt with this from the beginning. Like I remember when
Yeah,
it,
from the beginning. Yeah.
from like 2020 when we weren't on the nominated list for This Week in Pinball podcast of the year, whatever it is, we didn't care. But all of a sudden we got thrown into the conversation because we won the Pinball Industry Award not even like 24 days later
Yeah.
before they even did the TWIPY Awards. And so it was fodder to talk about like how flawed of a system it is and yada
Well,
yada
okay,
yada.
okay. In fairness, I will say the TWIPY is the People's Choice Awards. Okay, and so the way the forum is set up, and I have no problem with this. The way the forum is set up is people hop online and they place a vote.
Correct.
What I'm so it's fine. Like we didn't really do much active campaigning, and so
No.
it didn't surprise me that we weren't on the list that year. But
But
what I am,
I got personal calls January
yeah,
1st,
yeah.
like on a holiday
Mhm.
of for multiple people telling me I should call up Patterson, who was the owner of TWIP at the time,
At the time,
and
yeah.
chew him out. And I was like, no,
Because
why?
that's not our role. That's
And
not
I'm
our
like,
style. Yeah.
and, and if we were in this for the awards, we would have stopped doing this a long time ago. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Well,
Yeah.
apparently in 2021, we would have called it quits.
Yeah.
So
Just get rid of it. Just get rid of that part
yeah,
because that's the only. And I guarantee when people think of the Twippies, they think of the toxicity around the content creator category.
yep.
And
That's
I'm sorry, this is okay. I like doing this, and I know Josh likes doing this. This is not our day job.
no,
Okay. But you know what? It is some people's day job.
yeah,
And when a stupid trophy that drives you to do toxic things to people personally when it's online or in person. Of course, this person doesn't act in person, but
Yeah.
online, I am sorry, that is online terrorism
Yeah.
because you are affecting their mental well-being.
I don't know what else to say. Here's the sucky part about all this. This is the same attitudes and stuff we've seen for years now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't talk about this for because it never changes, right? Like
Well,
you, the
we
listener,
don't like getting the spotlight. This is one of the few times where I'm giving the spotlight to a toxic element that needs to be lanced and like a boil.
that was quite the visual. Thank you.
Yeah,
But my point being though is like if you want change, start with yourself.
yeah,
Like if you're sick and tired of it, stand up. Like a lot of people are afraid to stand up because the bullying just happens to them, and then they're just like, well,
yeah.
no one
They
else.
don't want to be a target. I've personally heard people who said, "I don't want to stand up because I don't want to be another target of this bully."
Yep, and it's not one person; it's
No,
multiple people.
it's constant.
Remember when they got banned from Expo last year?
Yeah,
I heard multiple people saying they wanted to stand up, but they didn't want to be a part of it because they want to be a target.
yeah.
And good for Zach Many for standing up.
Yeah, and
And,
he's
and
and this is us just talking as a friend.
yeah,
He has been a target many times, completely, and this is Zach's like livelihood.
yeah,
And Zach is he's a good distributor. You can have your own opinion about personalities and the way things are done. That's fine,
yeah,
and 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 you can have opinion about Josh and me. I don't really care about that. I just hope that if we've repeatedly said if you need help, like we're there for you. If you need help, reach
yeah,
out and look for things. But if you're just an online assassin, just go away.
yeah. My personal opinion, because I hear a lot of this, that the truth is spoken through this podcast and whatnot. You know, honestly, you know who's a really good analyzer of the industry, who gives a good poignant opinion that is for the people, but still is respectable about the industry, is Carrie Hardy.
Yeah, Carrie's pretty
Like
good. Yeah, yeah, I
seriously,
like Carrie. Carrie's a good fit.
and Carrie's got quite the following. It shows that
Mhm.
like I feel like he's very balanced. He may like go off about topper prices.
Well, okay, Carrie is irreverent, and he is,
Yeah,
and it's there's nothing wrong with having that type. That's not my personality. It's not Josh's personality, but Carrie, that's his personality, and
yeah,
he's he has a way of being of being provocative without being mean.
yeah.
You know that's his personal opinion.
Yep. And I think that's the way. The reason I bring Carrie up, we love you, Carrie. You're a good dude. Thanks for coming on the show a few episodes back. I think the reason I bring this up is because it shows how you can have a very brash opinion
Right,
about the industry, but still be respectable about it,
right,
and calling out maybe something that needs to be called out, but doing it in a respectable way.
right.
I
And
feel
that's
like
hey, we call people out too.
I agree.
Not to the same level, but it's but you know I'm tired of it. I'm tired of mean people. Mean people suck. Sorry.
Mean people do suck, and that's why we usually don't talk about this because then the mean people will,
Yeah,
end up in our
I
lives.
don't feed the trolls.
Yeah, don't feed the trolls. All right, are we done with that?
We're done. We're done.
Okay,
Move on.
one quick question
I
though.
will not speak of him again.
Okay, current quick question though. All this feuding, all this ridiculousness,
Hmm.
it's being plastered on Pinside, on Facebook, on whatever anyone can get their hands on to plaster all this drama and negativity. Is it harming the brand of Twippy? Just quick thought.
I think it does give people a kind of a knee jerk feeling. Like when you think Twippy and the number one thing you think of is drama over content creator, that's an issue.
Yeah,
If you think Oscars and the number one you think of is Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, that's a problem.
yeah,
I mean, did it bring eyeballs? Yeah. Did it bring attention? Yeah. Not positive.
no. And I know all publicity is good publicity. Like
Not
I used
always. No, no.
I worked in radio, like, that was the thing, right? Like, all publicity is good publicity, right? But in this situation where you're trying to do something that's prestigious, that honors the hobby and the
Mhm.
industry, I feel like it's a black eye more than it is a gold star.
Right. It's like having a charity event and you have the one person calling out a charity for what they're not doing or
Yeah.
just being mean about the charity or whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's move on the list. Do we want to talk Jaws rumors?
Well, okay,
Yes,
so
no, maybe no?
let's. I don't want to. I don't want to deal with them specifically, but we can talk about rumors of Jaws and really any pinball machine rumors because this happens regularly, right?
Oh, every
Yeah,
release.
and so go.
Roughly about 2 to 4 weeks before it's shown, right?
Yeah, the only one that seems like it didn't like that totally took me by surprise was when they released Mustang. It
Yeah.
was like, here's Mustang. We're like, what? What?
I don't know.
Okay.
I remember when they revealed Avengers and none of us were like from Elwyn and was like,
Yeah,
"Wait,
that was interesting.
yeah,
Hmm.
we weren't expecting that because of the way that they had released stuff around that time of
Right.
year."
Okay. Thoughts about leaks. I'll let you go first.
Okay. I just really want to make a couple quick points. The funny part is, so we interviewed Keith Elwyn back
Hmm.
in
It was like
February.
February. Yeah. Yeah. It was a while
Yeah.
ago.
He had just had a brand new release at that point. That was James Bond's 60th anniversary.
Hmm.
We talked about a ton of things about Bond. It was amazing. It was a very fun episode. We always ask Keith, like, tell us anything about your next game,
Hmm.
right? Because it's, I guess people are intrigued. He told us there was 4 flippers, 3 on one side, 1 on one side.
Hmm.
And the articles the next day were first details on Elwyn's next game.
Yeah.
We don't celebrate, for some odd reason, we don't celebrate the current game out. Like, we're not satisfied with what's released, right?
Hmm.
Like, the rumor's Jaws. It's been for a
That's been the rumor for 2 years. So,
yeah.
and if
So
it's not great, I'm sure it'll be fine. But that's been on a lot of people's wish list for a while and been linked very heavily.
correct. I don't know if it was because Bond 60th was, what was it? What, like 15? No, it wasn't 15,000. It was more than that when it came
It
out.
was a lot. It was a name your price.
It was like
It,
unattainable for a lot of people
yeah. It
at a
was a it,
lower, they
yeah.
usually go for a pro or premium, right? Like
Right.
this was just, and maybe that was the other thing too. But like back to the point, the articles read first details on Elwyn's next game.
Hmm.
It didn't talk about like
His
Bond
current
60th.
game. Yeah. Yeah.
And even the photo for it is the LE for Godzilla, which had been released
Right.
like a year and a half before. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I I I don't know what this fascination is with rumors in this hobby. And it's really like I joked because obviously, we'll have Elwyn on after his next release,
Sure.
like we typically do. And I'm like, maybe we should just joke and be like, no one wants to hear about your current game you just released.
Yeah.
Will
Let's
you
talk
just
about your
give us
next one.
let's talk about your next one? Because obviously, like you have
Right.
a hit here and everyone's seeing this, but like,
Hmm.
what about the next one? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just the other thing too. I don't know how much I want to touch on this, but I'm gonna I know there are people in Chicago that work for people that listen to this podcast. I'll
Okay.
put it that way.
Okay. Sure.
People get fired over these leaks.
They can. Yeah.
They can. And some of them think they're very smart with how they're releasing them. But if you look at the window of when the leaks are being released, it actually pinpoints the employees. So I just want to forewarn you, like you might want
Okay,
to
we're not going to speculate, by the way, which people, because we don't know who they are. I will state
exactly.
that we don't know who they are.
But we've heard of that
Timeline. Okay. Well,
timeline and they have a good idea of who releases these leaks every time.
sure.
And I think the frustrating part to me is like I have friends in the like I've made friends all across this hobby, right?
Hmm.
And it sucks that people's jobs are in jeopardy for a game that's releasing in 2 to 4 weeks.
Right.
We can probably safely assume that, right? Like, but you know what assume means. And we can't we've got to be the first to the gate with the information of the game before the company releases it. Like why? What's the point? Are we so rumor hungry in this hobby that we can't wait 2 weeks just to see a finished product? 2 to 4 weeks?
I don't think it's not unique to us. It's not unique to pinball. Okay. These are things that happen industry wide.
Yeah.
Like in any industry, really. Because if people are talking about it, then hopefully it it increases interest, I guess, anticipation. I mean, this is the whole point of having like movie trailers and things that people say, "Hey, that looks like a good movie. I'm interested in it." Or, "Hey, there's a car coming out and I'm interested in that too." There's nothing wrong with looking at what is coming up. Okay,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is common. Another point is I'm slightly skeptical about leaks and rumors because there are two ways that rumors and leaks happen. It
Yeah.
is someone who is in the inside of the industry and they want to leak something out to say, "Hey, this is a cool thing. You guys should hear about it." Okay.
Yeah.
There are also marketing campaigns that will use leaks. Okay.
Yeah. True.
And so there are ways that they will strategically leak things out. And
Yeah.
this happens in sports too, where it's you hear, "Hey, an unnamed source says that this athlete is doing this or is against the organization or with you or whatever." So the question I have usually when a leak comes out is who benefits from this? Because if the leak comes out that it actually benefits the company, there are questions about, okay, well, was the company itself a source for the leak?
Yeah.
Or if I'm using the athlete analogy, but a lot of times when you hear about negotiations with contracts between athletes and teams, and if an unnamed source comes out and says something, you need to say who benefits from it, because if
Yeah.
this makes the team look bad, then you have to suspect someone from the athlete's entourage, the group, PR, whatever. They're the one leaking it. If it benefits the company, then that. So the question I have is, do you feel that these leaks are part of a marketing campaign that companies have, but or do you feel that this is some guerrilla tactic that an employee is having? Because I don't think it has to be one or the other. I think there
It
are
could be
different
both.
things.
I just, and I don't disagree with you. I
But
find
it's
it
like the
very,
paparazzi. The paparazzi, they get calls from the actors' agents to say, "Hey, they're going to be walking on the beach in their shorts,"
yeah.
and so they go and take pictures of their latest body after having a baby or body after losing 40 pounds for a role or something like that. So it
I
is
mean,
publicity.
and let's be honest, like we've already mentioned it earlier in the podcast, like this stuff gets leaked
Hmm.
2 to 4 weeks, almost like clockwork before the reveal,
Right.
right? Like every time, except for there are a couple of times it doesn't happen.
Right.
So you're right. So either there's consistently employees leaking this information in a guerrilla type fashion for
Hmm.
marketing, or it is a planned campaign and it is leaked on purpose to a certain source to then be dripped feed out
Right.
to create encourage FOMO. That's what's been coined, fear of
Hmm.
missing out. And so I don't know. I don't disagree with you, but I don't agree with you. I'm really in the middle
Okay.
ground on this one.
Which is fine. I'm just saying that company, and I'm not saying Stern, JJP, anything like that, they use these tactics. But what I am saying is it's a common tactic in the industry, especially
It's
when you're trying to create an illusion of scarcity. And right now, we're going to get into this, but the pinball market has significantly cooled down.
yes.
So they are going to use anything they can to sell product. So does this
Yeah.
help sell product? Does it not help sell product? However, the one argument that I can think of that you could easily counteract everything I just said is they're not allowed to take money for games that aren't announced.
Yeah. That's true.
So if there's and sometimes this can hurt games too. And for example, and this was not a leak, this was a marketing campaign when Jersey Jack released Pirates of the Caribbean, and on their promotional information, the first 30 seconds was about a triple spinning disc,
Yeah.
which sounded cool, but it really was kind of a marketing thing. It wasn't really anything that had to do with the gameplay, but it was a cool feature just visually.
Yeah.
And then when they had to pull that back, or decided to pull that back, it did affect game sales.
Yeah.
And so they can work both ways. But if you have rumors for Jaws and they still can't take money for them, then you could argue this does nothing to help them.
Well, and one thing that, because we've talked about this behind the scenes with different people as well, video games get announced like a year in advance, right?
Right.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
or at least, or two. Unless you're Nintendo, then it's like 3 months before or 4 months before, or years before. It just depends. But with pinball, like, we keep the title so under wraps.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it would benefit a pinball company? I get you can't announce like a year and a half out in advance. If the license doesn't work out and you've announced, hey, Back to the Future, Stern Zoom Back to the Future, this is all speculation, right? So we announced that, and then like 2 years later, like the licensor and Stern aren't meeting eye to eye,
Right.
and they decide to drop it, and it gets moved on to a different company.
Right.
Then Stern's got like a black eye to say, right? Or they just got to pretend like, we don't have it anymore, but we can't talk about who does. You know what I'm saying?
Oops.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
but like 4 months before reveal, or does that cut out the legs of the that? Well, I guess that cuts out the legs of the. If in this case it is Jaws, if we were to announce Jaws at Venom's time,
Well,
when
okay.
Venom's
It is
releasing,
rumored to be Jaws, right?
correct?
Because
Sorry,
I haven't seen it. You haven't seen it.
no, I haven't.
Like we
So
haven't seen the art of it. Like we don't know anything on it. So
yep. As Bandit from Bluey would say, I've been watching too much Bluey with the kids. Allegedly,
yeah. Okay.
allegedly.
Well, I'll put this out there. Let's say it's 2020
Okay.
and they announce early that, hey, the next 4 games that are coming out are The Mandalorian, Godzilla, Rush, and James Bond.
Okay.
Okay. So here's where pinball is different. Pinball, people don't typically buy every game, but with
Sure.
a video game, releasing like a Mario Kart is not going to affect Mario Wonder
Yeah.
because it's $60, and that's
And they're entirely different game styles. Like,
right. It's not
you're
going to
racing
affect
versus
things.
platformer. Yeah.
Yeah, but yes, it will, because there are people who are saying, "Well, I don't know what's coming out, so I have money and I want to buy a machine. What's available now?"
Yeah.
But if they're like, "Well, I'm not really interested in Venom, and I I know that, again, allegedly Jaws is coming out next and it's my dream theme." You're
Yeah.
just going to say sayonara to Venom. You're not going to worry about it.
Yeah.
So yes, it actually would not benefit them to release these things early,
Oh,
because if you
okay.
look at the interest of a game, as soon as it's released, it's really hot, or it
Yeah.
peaks or something like that. And not every game. I mean, I would say that Venom, probably because it was rumored for so long, and when it came out, it coincided with a lull in the market. It was the dreaded summer release, and it it didn't sell as many as I would think Stern would hope.
Yeah.
So anything that could possibly take away from that is not a good thing. And we've talked about it before. Does the Elvira, like Red Lip Kiss edition, or whatever, or
Yeah.
the
Blood
Jurassic
red
Park
tape.
30th edition? Yeah,
Yeah.
does that affect? Yeah, it does actually,
Yeah.
because there are people who are like, well, I don't know about Venom, but I know Jurassic Park's really good, and I can get like an exclusive version of some sort.
Yeah.
And so the 30th, I think, did affect the Venom sales, and not in a good way.
Yeah.
And if they knew that in Elwyn, I mean, right now everyone's chasing Elwyn, right? They are. It's if you look at just by the Stern production schedule, Elwyn's first game just barely went off production.
Yeah.
Like they're still making Jurassic Park. They're still making Avengers. They're still making Godzilla. And they
Which,
will be for the next 10 years.
which Richie's only been gone for like a year and a half, and none of his games are on the line.
Nope. Nope.
Is any of Borg's, because Rush isn't? Is that
No,
his?
Rush isn't on the line either. So Borg
What was
is
his most? That's his most recent
that's
game,
his
isn't it?
most recent game. Yeah. And
I mean,
James Bond is still being made. Godzilla is still being made. I'm sure they'll still make The Mandalorian because it has the Star
it's
Wars
Star
license.
Wars. Yeah.
But yeah, Turtles is done. Stranger Things they did bring back. So, so they can still vault stuff or semi vault it, I guess. I mean, Stranger Things isn't really a vault. So
But the
there
point
are
being,
ways of
so
bringing it back, but you look at their production schedule and it is obvious that Elwyn's games are selling the
Sally,
most.
yep, they're ones that are in demand. If you're not aware of how this works, so they'll produce a game for a certain amount of time. So let's use Jurassic Park as an example.
Mm-hmm.
They'll put it online for a couple weeks, and then once it goes off, it goes to distributors, and then distributors then sell all those orders. And then if they want more Jurassic Park, they say, "Hey, Stern, we have like 5, 6, 7 more people that want Jurassic Park," and then that happens, that grows globally, and then Stern then goes off those numbers to say, "Hey, this is supposedly the demand we have. We're making these games." And so what that means is the reason all these L1 games are still online is because distributors, that's what they're asking for, is these games.
Right.
Sorry, we're shifting our next, it's state of manufacturing, so we're pretty much into it right now.
Right.
I want, I guess another thing.
But okay, but
I've been
the bottom line, do you think that rumors help or hurt? Because maybe we have different takes on this.
I think it depends when they're released. After our discussion right now, it
Mm-hmm.
really depends. If allegedly Jaws rumors dropped before Venom, it could tank Venom,
Right.
depending on the varying factors.
Right.
You release rumors right now, 2 to 4 weeks before we see the game, it could create some hype, especially if there's
It
a
may.
lull
Yeah.
in the line. Yeah, and it's funny because I watch a lot of people like on Facebook and stuff like that. I really don't like to comment on these because I don't know, it's hard to convey message through text, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like the way it works, and this is what scares me. I really think Stern's way smarter and more involved in what they do.
Right.
But I really personally, I don't buy LEs, but you gotta drop that number from 1,000 to 500. I think with how rapidly people aren't buying anymore, and your LEs are your day one shot of adrenaline to your distributors and your
Yes.
dealers, right? That is like the quick cash flow that your distributors need
High
to keep
margin. It's the high margin.
correct. And that's
Yes.
what helps put product on the shelf. Because let's be honest, like day one sales are awesome,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of pinball slow burn. You have new people coming into the hobby. You have people that can't buy the game right now. They're waiting for it down the road. They do want to buy, like, I'd prefer to buy new off the shelf versus like figuring out what the heck this guy did to the game. Like, a lot of
Right.
people are
Yeah.
usually pretty nice to their games, but
Some not so much. Yeah.
not so much. Or we've all got that game, right? We get it home, we're like, what the heck is this?
Mm-hmm.
What happened? Like, it worked when I was playing it for the
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes I was in that guy's house. Now I've got it home. Something's not right. And then you dig into it, and there's little gremlins that have been built themselves in the game, right? So, but point being is like pros and premiums sit on the shelf. Like they might go out door day one,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not as much as what LEs do, right?
Right.
But the problem is we we're making LEs like every month, every other month.
Yeah.
You just said it, like Jurassic Park 30th, Elvira's Blood Red Kiss. We've had, not, I guess Stranger Things was another LE, but like there's been several LEs. Like we're
I'm
joking about
surprised
like
actually that Stranger Things didn't have kind of a,
season 6
like a
upgrade or whatever.
Lucy edition or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I'm surprised. But okay, these games are $13,000.
Yes.
Okay. And yes, hey, I know people who can buy these games, just they're on the every LE list.
Yeah.
Okay. However, the majority of the people who buy games are in the pro to premium range. And a lot of them are, with the economies the way they are right now, they're looking for deals and used games. And right now, supply has eclipsed demand.
Yeah. Well, and I think also too is like, so with LE people that usually buy, money is usually not an object, right? Like it could be with some, but I swear, like if there's that person, I don't know if you know them, but it's like they get every single LE, every
I
release.
know I know two who are on the right of first refusal LE list. Like they just and it's not like I talk to enough people, but I know a lot more people who are buying, who are deciding between a pro and premium
Yeah.
than the people who are deciding, well, should I get this LE or a premium?
But the point being is like to these people, money isn't really an object, right? Like,
Right.
so what are you offering in an LE? You're offering something that a lot of people can't obtain.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is when you're making, how many of Elvira editions did we decide after this?
Yeah, it was like four.
Between Super LE, the regular LE, the Blood Red Kiss, the 40th anniversary, and they were all 50 to 1,000 or 500 to 1,000 per run, right? Well,
Yeah,
for the
well,
Super.
yeah, it's kind of around that.
So let's roughly guesstimate about 1,500 LEs out there
Mm-hmm.
between the original run. It's got to be more than that. Sorry, also with the Super LE, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
S- yeah, I mean, it's in an industry where honestly, I mean, look at Spooky's numbers. They're producing about 1,500 per game now, anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500,
Yeah,
depending on. So you're not really scarce at that point, right? Like you're,
yeah. It's
I
it's
just,
become the well. This is why I'm speculating that JJP went away from the limited edition. I think they
yeah,
actually shot themselves in the foot with the Guns N' Roses limited edition, because they're saying, "Hey, it's limited." Now, I don't think anyone really cares. They basically immediately said, "Okay, that's their equivalency of a premium pinball machine." And so for them to transition over to, the platinum edition or something like that, is smart, because it
yeah,
allows them the flexibility to run as many as they want or go back to the well. And
yeah,
I don't think that marketing gimmick for the limited edition really helped out anyone feeling exclusivity in owning a Guns N' Roses. The
yeah,
collector's edition, yes, but the other ones, I I don't know what the answer is, because it seems like the demand for pinball has actually I plateaued. I don't think it's gone down, because I don't know people who are just like, oh, I just kind of moved on and I'm not really into pinball anymore.
yeah,
But I know a lot of people who they're in my category where they say, yeah, I could buy a game, but I'd have to sell a game,
yeah.
because
Same.
they no longer have the space. They have maximized their space.
Yep.
So if
Which runs into like, because I love all my games I have, so
right.
you got to show me something better than what I got.
And that's the challenge. And this is where we were talking about them doing what basically every industry does, right? Every
Yeah,
industry, like a car industry, they say, hey, we are closing out the 2021 models. Come down New Year's Eve, get a blowout, get a huge deal. New ones are coming in. Okay.
yeah,
I also understand that pinball doesn't get dated as much as like cars with different releases, because you can say that a pinball machine that was, Lord of the Rings, it's 20 years old, right?
yeah,
People still are like, oh, it's still fun, even quirky and gimmicky with the limitations at the time. But because they have started dipping into that well and saying, hey, we're going to blow out some of these old ones, it does cool people off a little bit. And the market is it is a, oh, how can I say it? It's okay, like a parliament. If you know much about politics outside the United States, a lot of it is parliament. So it's different groups getting together and they all say, well, this is my issue, boom. This is my issue, boom. And for them to get a majority in the parliament, they cobble some of these together. Okay.
yeah,
Now that is like sales, because there are going to be the group of LE buyers. There's going to be the group of premium buyers, the group of pro buyers, the group of new in box buyers, the group of used buyers, the group of routed. So you see where I'm going with all these different segments.
Yeah.
But you are moving the needle a little bit when you start saying, hey, you may be interested in that game. However, if you don't buy it now and wait till the closeout, then you could probably get it for $800 cheaper.
Yeah.
That doesn't help because
Yeah.
you're basically saying, okay, there's going to be you're setting an expiration date on the ability to collect a premium price for that game. And that the price expectation will translate across all titles. We
Yeah.
all know all titles aren't created equal, but how they have how they have how they've tried to balance that out is not all equals are produced in the same amount.
Yeah.
If you want a Metallica, you can find a Metallica. If you want a Mustang, you may not be able to find a Mustang because they didn't make a lot of them. And so there still is that. And there's a reason why Stranger Things was so expensive for a while, is because they cut the run short because it wasn't selling as much.
Yeah.
And then it picked up steam. Deadpool was kind of the same way, actually.
Yep.
Deadpool didn't sell a lot, and then people said, "Oh, well, this is a fun game," and then they were done. And so the scarcity, this is economics, right, kids? So that's how that works. But when you start teasing that you're moving those groups of people for the new inbox people to say, now you're creating a new segment and you're creating a closeout buyer segment
Yeah.
where they're willing to wait. And that does have some long-term ramifications. Having extra LE options also affects the LE market, because there are people, I am not one of these who says, I want to buy something because I don't want other people to have it. Okay.
Yeah.
But there are people who are like, oh, well, when Spooky ran on this forever. Oh, there's only 100 America's Most Haunted. There's only 250 Rob Zombie or whatever they were.
Yep. You're right. It was 125, 250,
Yeah,
then
yeah. So
500. They kept doubling
anybody
it.
who's played America's Most Haunted knows it's not that great of a game. It's not.
It was a
It,
good first
it was
effort.
it was a solid glorified homebrew.
As Martin would say, it was the pinball machine that exists.
Yes. Well, okay, it's not terrible. It's not, but
No,
it's
it's not. It really isn't.
okay,
But
but it's not the same level as other things. But there are people who will buy them because it's like, oh, this is something cool that other people don't have, which I don't really care if that's your thing. Go ahead.
to be honest, I've never played an America's Most Haunted,
I've played it. It's okay.
and that's not for not wanting to try. Everyone I've seen's been broken.
Yeah. Well,
I don't.
okay, but let's just. Okay, we know Spooky can have some, especially the early games, can have some
Yeah, they
reliability
were
issues.
they
So
were
it's
starting
fine.
out company. I don't
Upstart
know.
company.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but what I am saying is that it's not like the first game that they produced that wasn't limited was TNA. And that does start affecting their ability, because some people are like, oh, well, if I can get it anytime, then there's no rush. But the limited should have some sort of urgency associated with buying it.
Some FOMO,
Some
just like we
FOMO,
talked about.
absolutely. And it does affect that a little bit. Now, the reason why I don't care too much about the LE, I actually like the Jersey Jack option, where you're basically able to get an LE version that has all the bells and whistles without being limited by amount. Like the premium, I probably would like to get some of the bells and whistles on the premium. Like, hey, if I could buy a premium that had pre-installed art blades, pre-installed shaker motor, pre-installed expression lighting, just all that kind of stuff, I would totally do it.
Yeah.
And I actually like the art package on Godzilla for the premium better than the LE. So, and same thing for Star Wars, actually. Star Wars, I didn't like the Millennium Falcon edition because I love the Empire Strikes Back theme that was on the premium. And actually, Iron Maiden is the same way. Okay. The premium is the Power Slave album, which is that's the zenith of their popularity. And so I wanted that art package. And I will say the Aces High Trooper package was still really cool for the LE, but I wanted the premium. So that being said, I just want to be able to get all the bells and whistles without being limited.
I get you.
But there are some people who aren't going to pull the trigger if they can't have that limitation.
True. All right, I feel like we've wrapped this one into a tight bow. Are there any danger zones we're toying with the way the industry's going though at this point?
Absolutely. There are the reason why they allowed to have these blowout prices is because there were a lot of dealers that had their money tied up in existing stock.
Yeah.
And they
Still
were
do.
not they still do. And they weren't able, because they kind of caught up, and the world changed at least for a little bit under COVID, because people weren't traveling. And so they actually had this extra money that they wanted to bring stuff home that was fun. So people were buying these things at an incredible rate. And therefore, there's no reason why a premium, you should buy it and then be able to sell it for more than you bought it for. That means that there's a margin. It's like a scalper ticket. Okay. There's a reason why, if a ticket is worth $4,000, you shouldn't sell it for $200. Like and really, by the way, I hate to break it to you, a lot of those reseller ticket things are actually from the actual artists and selling them at those prices. Shocker. Yeah. But that's what it should be, right? I shouldn't be able to go buy a Porsche for $20,000 and sell it for 90, because
Exactly.
Porsche should sell it for 90 if that's what it's going for.
Exactly.
But what it does say is that the false escalation of prices during COVID are over. Well, okay, not false. I would say the COVID affected prices are over.
Yeah. Well,
So
and you were in this hobby well before COVID.
yeah,
Like I remember right before COVID, you could almost any JJP you could get anywhere from about $6,000 to $9,000.
yeah,
It's what it was. Most Stearns were in about the mid fives
hmm
on the pros.
hmm
You know,
yeah. Premiums were about 6,500 about then.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But then, granted, the prices were lower then too. Like a pro was 62, 63 at that point. A
hmm
premium was 75, I want to say.
Yeah.
So, I mean, coming out of COVID, we're going into some interesting territory
Yeah.
because even if you look pre-COVID, it's hard to have data points to tell you, hey, this is kind of where we're heading because we're so different price wise,
Okay,
at least
but
MSRP.
this is where the problem is, because right now I just pulled up Pinside. I didn't even search for anything. I just pulled up Pinside and I searched and I just said, "Show me the market." Okay,
Okay.
so
Show me the
show
market.
me the market. Okay, so Stranger Things Pro with UV kit. How much do you think?
6,500.
5,400.
Oh, wow.
Okay, Venom Premium.
5.
Oh, okay,
No,
come
sorry.
on.
You said premium. I apologize. 7,500.
8,700. Okay, 8,700. But still,
Okay.
but
More,
okay,
more.
but
Sorry.
the MSRP is 9,500.
Yeah, true.
Okay,
Sorry. I
so
forgot. I
that's a
apologize.
drop. Iron Maiden Premium, 8,800. Okay,
And that's for a game. That's an L1 game that's not being produced anymore.
yeah, yeah. So there's Star Trek Pro, 5,900. You know,
So my question is, so this is we're talking a lot of new box. Do you think because our used market, especially our Bally Williams,
hmm
has jumped significantly.
okay,
Do
but
you think that those come
well,
down? Or but since they're not being made anymore and do they stay high because this is kind of what the market's shifted to on the used market?
they will sell for that. They're not going to lower prices again, because they'll just modify their manufacturing stamp, but they may knock it 100 or $200. But we have actually talked about this, that if you adjust for inflation, they're actually pretty much where they were,
Yeah.
really. The challenge is going to be, though, are they going to be able to manufacture the same amount if the distributors are still stuck with a lot of stock that they're not able to move?
Yeah. I think really honestly the biggest telltale of the market is going to be with this next release. I think it's gonna tell you a few different things. Either your consumer base is holding out for a specific product,
Yeah.
whether that be
Or a
license
or a
or
designer.
a designer team,
Mhm.
or let's say the whole team, because let's be honest, Elwyn is
Okay,
great.
we're just doing the umbrella, right? It's an
Let's
Elwyn
do Umbrella.
release. Okay.
Okay, an Elwyn team release. So there's a lot of varying factors that go into. I'm really intrigued to see what happens with this next release, and it's not because of the rumors of it allegedly being Jaws, or whatever else comes along with those rumors. My thing is like we've seen the industry do some pretty wild things in this last 6 to 12 months,
Mhm.
and it was like we hit a crescendo. I want to say probably in the spring,
Mhm.
and it seems like as you're pointing out, like the Guardians of the Galaxy, I've pulled it up. We got a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 Refinery Edition with the Topper Pro for 6 grand. That's a refinery edition.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, that's something else.
Oh,
That's
yeah, yeah, okay, I just barely saw that.
yeah. And
Wow,
so
that's a whole lot of purple.
and
Woo,
this is
that's
I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy have sold so well. They've done, even though they said we're done running them, they're like, we're doing one more run. But
okay, I'm really hoping that they just took it all with a purple light, because everything is purple on that game.
yeah, shadows are coming down. They were in the mid sixes. Now they're down to 55. So
Yeah.
uh, I think it just all depends on what you're looking for.
It does. I'm just hoping that I'm concerned about the long-term health for some companies,
Yes.
because Stern's going to be fine. They're still making excellent games. They have been in the industry long enough to weather ups and downs.
Yeah. And if they let's be honest, if they have a turd 3 months
They
later,
can move on. Yeah, if
they're
they
going to
have
move
one that
on,
falls flat, absolutely.
or they can dip back into the well like they've been doing. It
Yes.
just it,
Some other companies, though, I'm concerned, because you're competing with Stern.
yeah,
Really everybody is competing with Stern,
yeah.
and the benchmark right now is Godzilla at 9,500.
Well, I'm not even worried about like, I am worried about manufacturers.
Yeah,
I'm worried about distributors. We created such a weird
right.
buying
Yeah.
frenzy in these last couple 2, 3 years, and a lot of people joined in to be a distributor in the
Yeah.
last 2 or 3 years,
Hmm.
and it's never been like this where you don't have to have products sitting on shelf, and then all of a sudden the last 6, 12 months,
You do.
it's
Hmm.
overwhelmingly. I mean, that's why they've said, "Hey, you can sell Rush, you can sell Led Zeppelin,
Hmm.
you can sell"
I'm
I
still
can't remember.
kind of shocked, by the way, that they like. I thought the demand was still enough for Rush that they would have run more, but that's
Isn't that just the weirdest thing? Like, it's
and
like the
it won.
weird
It won like Game of the Year last year.
yeah, it's really
So.
weird when and the matter of the fact is too, it won Game of the Year,
Hmm.
and they had stopped running it by that point.
Yeah.
It just and
It's
it's
weird.
weird.
I will say, granted, pinball is driven by themes,
Yeah.
and Rush is a very specific demographic.
You're telling
And
me it's a niche theme and a niche hobby?
well,
And a niche
my
industry?
my favorite was the one time Jeff Rivera was talking about Iron Maiden, and he talked about Iron Maiden's music. And the funny thing is, I grew up on Iron Maiden. I grew up on Rush, and so I'm a fan of both of them, and I own both of the machines. But he talked about Iron Maiden is like Rush took drugs and learned how to play metal. and
That's great.
he's like, I can't stand it. I can't stand it. So it was funny. But so I totally get it. And there are people who sold Iron Maiden because they couldn't stand the music.
Yeah.
Here is something that is interesting, though. With Raw thrills. Okay, you know how we're getting more insider connected, right?
Yes.
Okay. Raw thrills, they sell Big Buck Hunter now at home, and there's two versions you can buy.
Okay.
You can get a standalone version, or you can get a subscription version. Okay. The
Yeah.
standalone version, it's kind of cost prohibitive. You pay a lot of money and you're buying the content, but you can only play like, five or six of the games or whatever. But
I thought it was like you get access to it, but you have to buy the license. Like you have to renew the license every
well,
year or something.
you can actually buy some outright, but it's
Okay.
kind of a ridiculous amount. It's like, you know, Terminator for $1,500 or something. And really, as long as you keep hitting the start button on a home game, you can blast through one of those games in 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and it's the same game. And it's not like the ball's live, right? So, would you ever think that Stern would go down that rabbit hole of having a subscription based thing for a home game?
I don't know. They hired a guy from Disney that worked for Disney Plus services, so
Maybe.
he knows his way around subscription based services.
Yeah.
I
The internet connectivity, there's some really great things about it. There are also some dark possibilities that
It would just be really weird because what do you sell? Like it would have to be DLC, right?
it would
Like,
have to be DLC. Mhm.
but you can't just inhibit. It
But
would just be
but
weird. It's not like there's features that you could leave out of the game physically and then put them in later, except
yeah.
for maybe like the UV kit on
Well,
Stranger
you
Things.
kind of do with the topper though. Like I
Yeah,
know it's like silly. It's like goat mode or whatever on Jurassic
yeah, but
Park, but
it's more of a novelty than it is.
okay, right now,
Yeah, I don't know. You're towing a fine line, and honestly, I'm going to leave that up to Stern. I'm not even going to
yeah,
speculate because
I'm not giving ideas. I'm just wondering where it's going.
it's a possibility.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's get to. We're over our hour.
Sorry. Yeah.
You're fine.
I talked way too long and I ranted way too long. I
If you
yeah. I apologize for
before we
nothing.
finish this, if you want to get a hold of Scott, I'll get that information here in a little bit. We promised that we would be giving away, or not us. I guess JJP
Yeah,
was generous.
JJP supplied us with a banner so we can give it away. We appreciate
Correct.
their effort, and Ken being the marketing guy, great guy.
Yes.
So
So Ken Cromwell has provided us with an Elton John banner, or he will provide it. It's not been shipped out yet.
yes,
But to save time, we did the trying right before the podcast. And Luke Konecki, I hope I said your last
I
name
think
right.
it's got to be Kaneki, like in Greece.
Maybe.
Okay, I'm kidding. I think it's Kaneki. Yeah.
So congratulations to you. I will be contacting you via the way that you contacted me. And congratulations. We'll work out how to get that to you.
And we appreciate everybody who entered, by the way.
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone. There was an amazing amount of response to our contest. Like it blew up. And we do appreciate people reaching out. Like I don't want this whole thing to be negative. Like there's been some great emails in this past couple weeks. I do want to bring an update to Larry DeMar has been talking to me. He's been trying to find those home ROMs. There has been a lot of interest for those home ROMs for like
Mhm.
World Cup Soccer, Twilight Zone. He said if you want to get a hold of the Twilight Zone one, it is actually on Planetary Pinball's
Oh,
website.
okay. All right.
So the people that own the rights to the Bally Williams stuff, they have it posted there in a zip file. So go ahead,
Okay.
do what you need to do to
Okay, but
go
I
and
can't burn it. Like it's a chip. I don't know how to burn it.
find someone that can burn it for you. There's someone nearby. I
Okay.
know that
If
there is.
someone knows how to burn like the home version for Twilight Zone, get a hold of me because I would love to have the home version.
So you can get direct to Lost in the Zone.
Absolutely.
So and like Larry was saying on the
Hey, if
interview,
there's
it's
a home
really
version
cool.
of Black Rose, I'll take that too.
He said that the way it works is it puts you into that mode, but then you start the game over and you get no points awarded. It's you get to explore the mode without
Well, that's okay.
essentially
Fine.
cheating the game.
Yeah.
So, but it's still cool. It's cool because not all of us can get to the end mode every
Mhm.
game, you know?
I think it'd
So,
just be fun to show people.
do we have any other closing thoughts before we wrap this up?
No, I know I started with a downer. I really, a hot button issue for me is bullying. Like it really
Yeah.
just, I have no tolerance for it. And so please be positive, help people out, and speak up for people if you feel like they are being bullied. Like be their
Yes.
support staff, because if you're not calling them out on their bad behavior, then it typically continues, and it leads toward just condoning. So I I apologize for nothing. I feel very strongly about that, and I really do want us to be a fun area and maybe a diversion to your day, and hopefully just something that we can experience pinball together. We don't care what your background is, what your income is, what your orientation is, what your religion is, what your politics. I don't care. Just come play pinball and be a good person. Like don't be toxic. That's not a high level.
Unless you're jamming your knee into the front of my corn door, you're welcome to hang out with me.
Yeah. Yeah, don't hurt my machines.
Uh,
I'll escort you off the premises.
but seriously, I mean, this isn't just about one specific person. This is about bullying,
Yeah.
and really stand up.
Yep.
What else can you say to that point? I see it too much.
Online has made it worse.
Yeah.
It really has. And I talk
Well,
to my kids a
what's
lot
the
about this. There is a bravado that comes with online. But if you have an issue, there are appropriate ways of dealing with it.
correct?
Okay?
And so I appreciate those that have reached out to me in the past privately so we could discuss it.
Mhm.
I don't think posting it on Facebook. I mean,
And
I guess
deleting
Scott
it later?
if you want to get a hold of us, we are Loser Kid Pinball Podcast at gmail.com.
Oh, I just got my shoes, by the way. I forgot to tell
Yes.
you. I finally got my shoes. They feel awesome.
Great. I'm glad you got your shoes.
So, sorry. Go ahead. Finish up.
That's good to know. I appreciate that because there's other people that have ordered shoes that were, I got to talk to them, see if they've received theirs as well. So thank you for letting me know. If you do want to get some of our swag, silverballswag.com/loserkid. Thanks again, Will Otting, for all that you do with that. I was talking to a buddy outside of this hobby. He does fly fishing and he's trying to sell his own merch. And I'm like, why don't you have like a silver ball swag? And he's like, what's silver ball swag? So I explained it to him. He's like, that's very unique and it's very like specific to your guys' hobby, like your industry or whatever. So I appreciate Will for like opening that avenue to allow us to do that. So back to what I was saying. So if you want to contact us, we are Loser Kid Pinball Podcast at gmail.com. You can get a hold of us via X, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all at Loser Kid Pinball.
Or Gmail. Yeah, it's fine.
Or Gmail. Go ahead and subscribe. We had an explosion of subscribers via Facebook in this last month. Like it was ridiculous, like 250 people in less than 30 days.
Sweet.
It,
If you want to look at our beautiful faces, you can watch us on YouTube.
yeah.
And then maybe go back to listening to us.
And we do appreciate, like I said, we did officially hit the milestone of 500,000 listens.
Yeah, that's impressive. Like I don't even know what to say. That's awesome.
Yeah, like obviously you guys are listening. Thank you so much. I feel like we've made it. We've arrived.
Hopefully,
right?
Nice Guy Famous. Yeah,
Nice Guy Famous. So, thanks again for tuning in. We'll see in 2 weeks.
We have a few things lined up. So it's but today we want to do a little recap. So
yeah, and what was the other thing I was going to say? It's Christmas time. It's the holidays.
Be nice.
It's
seriously
Hanukkah. It's whatever you want. You know, whatever you believe.
Christmas, Kwanzaa. Okay,
whatever you put your faith in. Even if you don't put your faith in anything. So the schedule might be a little skinwampus here in December.
Yeah,
because
I'm going to U2 in 2 weeks.
Yeah. So go enjoy your family. Go tell someone that you've had a feud with, like, hey man, let's squash it. Let's talk. Let's break bread. So, all right. See you in 2 weeks.
Okay, we'll see you.
Maybe.
Bye.